The zombie pets. The Outbreak. It was a typical sunny Saturday morning in the small town of Maplewood. The birds chirped cheerfully, and the smell of freshly mowed lawns filled the air. Children played outside, their laughter echoing down the streets. Among them were 4 best friends, Mia, Jake, Sarah, and Leo. They were inseparable, always finding new adventures to embark on. But that day, their adventure would lead them into a terrifying nightmare. Mia was the first to notice something strange. As she ran to her backyard to play with her dog, Benny, she saw him acting oddly. Benny was usually a bundle of energy, but today he was lying still, his eyes glazed over. "Benny, are you okay?" she called, but her dog didn't respond. Instead, he suddenly stood up and staggered toward her, his movements jerky and unnatural. "What's wrong with him?" Jake asked, joining her in the yard. They watched in horror as Benny let out a low, guttural growl. The other pets in the neighborhood had begun to act strangely, too. Sarah's cat, Whiskers, was hissing at shadows, while Leo's hamster, Nibbles, had bitten through his cage and was scuttling around aimlessly. "Something's not right," Mia said, her voice trembling. "We need to check on the others." The investigation. The group quickly made their way around the neighborhood, checking on their friends' pets. What they found sent chills down their spines. Dogs, cats, rabbits, and even birds were behaving erratically, their eyes clouded and their movements stiff. They were no longer the loving companions the kids knew. They were something else entirely. "Look," Sarah yelled, pointing to a small crowd of dogs gathered at the park. They were growling and snarling at each other. "They're acting like they're zombies." "What if it's some kind of virus?" Leo suggested, his brow furrowing. "We need to find out how this happened." The kids hurried to the local vet's office, hoping for answers. Dr. Thompson, the town's veterinarian, was usually friendly and approachable. But today, he was frantic. "You kids shouldn't be here," he shouted as they entered. "You need to leave. It's not safe." "Dr. Thompson, please," Mia pleaded. "All the pets are acting weird. What's going on?" The vet hesitated, but then sighed, his shoulders slumping. "I don't know how to explain this. There's a strange virus going around, and it seems to be affecting pets. I've never seen anything like it. Some pets are becoming aggressive. Others are just unresponsive. I'm trying to find a cure, but I need more time." "Is there anything we can do to help?" Jake asked, determined. Dr. Thompson shook his head. "Stay away from the pets, kids. You might get infected too." But the kids were already thinking of a plan. They couldn't just stand by while their beloved pets turned into monsters. The plan. Back at Mia's house, the friends gathered in her room, brainstorming ideas. "If we want to help the pets, we need to find where this virus came from," Mia said, her mind racing. "Maybe it's in the water supply or something they ate." "Let's check the park," suggested Leo. "That's where all the pets are gathering. Maybe we can find clues." That evening, armed with flashlights and a sense of urgency, the kids made their way to Maplewood Park. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the ground. As they entered the park, they could hear the eerie sounds of growling and barking echoing from the darkened corners. "Stay close together," Sarah whispered, clutching her flashlight tightly. They moved cautiously, their hearts pounding in their chests. Suddenly, they spotted a group of pets gathered around a large, overturned trash can. "Look," Jake exclaimed. "They're all sniffing something." As they approached, they realized it was a strange, green substance oozing from the trash. "What is that?" Mia wondered aloud. They leaned closer to inspect it, and Leo recoiled in disgust. "It looks like spoiled food mixed with something else." Maybe it's the source of the virus, Sarah suggested. We should collect a sample and take it to Dr. Thompson. The discovery. With great care, they used a plastic container to scoop up some of the green goo. Just as they were about to leave, a sudden rustling in the bushes startled them. The kids froze. "Did you hear that?" Mia whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Before they could react, a pack of zombie dogs emerged from the shadows, their mouths dripping with the same green substance. The kids gasped, backing away slowly. "Run!" yelled Jake, and they took off, sprinting through the park as the growling dogs chased after them. They dodged branches and jumped over logs, their hearts racing. The moonlight illuminated the path ahead, guiding them home. They burst into Mia's house, slamming the door behind them, panting heavily. "That was too close!" Leo exclaimed, collapsing on the floor. "Did we get the sample?" Sarah asked, breathless. "Yes," Mia replied, holding up the container triumphantly. "Now we can take it to Dr. Thompson and figure out how to stop this." The urgent help. The next morning, the kids rushed to the vet's office once more. Dr. Thompson was surprised to see them back so soon. "I told you to stay away," he said, but they interrupted him, showing him the sample. "Look, we found this in the park. We think it's the cause of the zombie pets," Mia exclaimed. Dr. Thompson examined the goo carefully, his brow furrowing. "This is worse than I thought. It looks like a toxic waste product mixed with some kind of bacteria. If pets are ingesting this, it's affecting their brains and behavior." "Can you cure them?" Jake asked, hope flickering in his eyes. "I'm not sure," Dr. Thompson admitted. "I need to run some tests, but if we can find out how to neutralize the bacteria, we might be able to save them." The kids felt a surge of determination. "We'll help you," Sarah declared. "What can we do?" Dr. Thompson thought for a moment. "I need more samples from different areas of the park and the neighborhood. If we can see how widespread this is, we might find a solution." "Let's split up," Leo suggested. "We can cover more ground that way." The search. The friends agreed and set off in different directions. Mia and Jake headed toward the local pond, while Sarah and Leo checked out the nearby playground. As they searched, they encountered more zombie pets, some of them struggling to move, while others were in a frenzied state. "Be careful," Mia warned as they approached the pond. They noticed several cats drinking from the water, their eyes vacant. "We need to get a sample of the water," Jake said, pulling out a container. Just as they bent down to collect the water, a loud crash echoed through the park. They turned to see a group of zombie dogs barreling toward them, barking wildly. "Run!" Mia shouted, and they sprinted away from the pond, barely escaping the snapping jaws of the undead pets. Meanwhile, Sarah and Leo were having their own troubles at the playground. They found several pets gathered near the swings, growling at each other. "We need to get samples of the dirt and grass here," Sarah said, quickly filling containers. Suddenly, a massive zombie bulldog appeared from behind the slide, its teeth bared. "Run, Leo!" Sarah screamed, and they took off, dodging the swings as the bulldog chased them. The reunion. After what felt like hours of searching, the kids regrouped at Mia's house, their faces pale and eyes wide with fear. Each of them held containers filled with samples from various locations. "Did you find anything?" Leo asked, panting. "Just more dangerous pets," Jake replied. "But we did get samples from the pond." "Same here," Sarah added. "It's really bad out there. We need to hurry and get these samples to Dr. Thompson." Once again, they rushed to the vet's office, bursting through the door. Dr. Thompson looked up, surprised to see them back with even more samples. "I didn't think you'd return," he said, shaking his head. "But maybe this is exactly what we need." They watched anxiously as the vet began analyzing the samples. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, he looked up, excitement lighting his eyes. "I think I have a lead. The bacteria in the samples reacts to a specific compound found in certain plants. If we can create an antidote using those plants, we might be able to reverse the effects of the virus." "Where do we find these plants?" Mia asked eagerly. "They grow in the woods just outside of town," Dr. Thompson explained. "But be careful. It's likely that more infected animals are lurking there." "We can do it," Jake declared, determination flooding through him. "We have to save our pets." Into the woods. Armed with determination and a list of the plants they needed, the kids set off toward the woods. The path was narrow and overgrown, casting eerie shadows as they ventured into the depths of the forest. The trees loomed high above them, their branches intertwining to form a canopy that blocked out most of the sunlight. The further they went, the more they could hear the distant growls and barks of the infected pets echoing through the trees. "We have to stick together," Sarah reminded everyone, her voice steady, despite the fear gnawing at her stomach. "If we get separated, we could be in serious trouble." The kids nodded in agreement, forming a tighter group. They followed the winding path, keeping an eye out for the plants Dr. Thompson had described. After a few minutes of walking, they stumbled upon a small clearing filled with vibrant, unusual flowers. "Look, are those the plants?" Leo exclaimed, pointing to a cluster of bright blue flowers swaying gently in the breeze. "Yes, those are definitely it," Mia confirmed, her eyes lighting up. "We need to gather as many as we can." As they approached the flowers, however, the ground suddenly shook beneath them. The children froze, their hearts racing as they glanced around. From behind the trees, several zombie pets emerged, drawn to the noise they had made. A menacing mix of dogs, cats, and other creatures staggered forward, their eyes glazed and mouths twisted in snarls. "Oh no, they're coming!" Jake yelled, and they scrambled to grab the flowers quickly. "Just get what we need," Mia shouted, her hands shaking as she picked the flowers and stuffed them into her backpack. With each passing second, the growls grew louder, and the infected pets began to surround them. The kids could feel panic rising as they realized they might be trapped. "Head for the trees," Sarah shouted, pointing to a thicket of bushes nearby. "We can hide there." The escape. They dashed toward the thicket, ducking low as they dove into the dense foliage. The growling of the pets grew closer, their snarls sending chills down the kids' spines. They could hear the pets crashing through the underbrush, searching for them. "Shh," Mia urged, pressing her finger to her lips as they crouched together in the bushes. They held their breath, listening as the sounds of the zombie pets echoed around them. Just as a large bulldog came into view, sniffing the air, Leo whispered, "What do we do if they find us?" "We wait," Sarah replied, her eyes wide with fear. "If we stay quiet, maybe they won't notice us." Minutes felt like hours as they remained frozen in place, the tension thick in the air. Finally, the bulldog lost interest and moved on, and the kids exhaled in unison, relieved but still terrified. "Let's make a run for it," Mia suggested once the coast was clear. "We have to get back to the vet's office." They carefully climbed out of the bushes and sprinted down the path, dodging branches and keeping their eyes peeled for any sign of danger. The forest seemed to close in around them, shadows dancing as they ran. As they neared the edge of the woods, they heard a commotion behind them. The zombie pets had picked up their scent again, and the sounds of growling grew louder. "They're right behind us," Jake shouted, adrenaline pumping through his veins. "Faster," Leo yelled, and they pushed themselves to run even harder, bursting out of the trees and back onto the familiar path leading to town. The last stand. The kids sprinted through the streets of Maplewood, their hearts pounding as they dashed toward Dr. Thompson's clinic. They could hear the growls of the pets growing closer, but they didn't dare look back. They reached the vet's office just in time, bursting through the door and slamming it shut behind them. "We got the flowers," Mia gasped, dropping her backpack on the floor and pulling out the vibrant blue plants. "But we were chased by a whole pack of zombie pets." Dr. Thompson, who'd been working at his desk, looked up in shock. "You kids need to be more careful. But let's see those flowers." They handed the plants over, and Dr. Thompson quickly began to analyze them. "Yes, this is exactly what we need. With these, we can create an antidote. But I need to work fast. We might not have much time before the virus spreads further." The kids watched anxiously as Dr. Thompson mixed the flowers with other ingredients in a small lab setup he had in the back room. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, each second feeling like an eternity. Suddenly, the door rattled violently. The kids gasped as they heard the unmistakable sounds of growling outside. The zombie pets had found them, and they were trying to break in. "Dr. Thompson, hurry," Sarah pleaded, her eyes wide with fear. "I'm almost done," he shouted back, focusing intently on his work. The mixture bubbled and changed colors, and the tension in the room was palpable. Just as he poured the final ingredient into a vial, the door burst open. The snarling pets flooded into the room, their eyes wild with hunger. "The cure. Get back," Dr. Thompson yelled, grabbing the vial of antidote as the kids huddled together, desperate and terrified. "We need to protect ourselves." In a split second, he tossed the vial to Mia. "You kids need to get this to the pets. It's the only way to save them." "What do you mean?" Jake asked, panic rising in his voice. "You have to spray it on them. It'll neutralize the virus," Dr. Thompson explained. "But you'll have to get past them first." With no time to waste, Mia nodded, her determination flaring. "We can do this. We have to save our pets." The kids quickly filled several spray bottles with the antidote and prepared to face the oncoming horde. "Stick together and aim for the pets' mouths," Sarah instructed, trying to sound brave. "We can do this." As the first zombie dog lunged at them, they sprayed the antidote directly into its mouth. The dog paused, confusion flickering in its eyes before it collapsed to the ground. The growl turned into a soft whimper, and slowly, the dog began to regain its senses. "It worked!" Mia exclaimed, stunned. "Keep going!" Leo shouted, spraying another dog and watching as it too returned to its normal state. Encouraged by their success, the kids sprang into action, spraying every pet that approached them, each time witnessing the miraculous transformation back into their beloved companions. The resolution. After what felt like a chaotic eternity, the kids finally managed to spray the last of the antidote on the remaining pets. One by one, the zombie pets returned to their usual selves, tails wagging and eyes bright once again. "Benny! Whiskers!" Mia cried, running towards her dog as he bounded into her arms, licking her face joyfully. The other pets joined in the reunion, each of them ecstatic to be back to normal. Dr. Thompson, watching the scene unfold, smiled with relief and pride. "You did it! You saved them!" The kids cheered, the weight of fear lifting from their shoulders. They had faced the unimaginable and had triumphed. "Now we have to make sure this doesn't happen again," Sarah said, her mind racing with ideas. "We should organize a community cleanup to make sure there's no more of that green stuff around." "Great idea," Jake agreed, "and we can educate everyone about keeping their pets safe." a new beginning. In the following weeks, the town of Maplewood came together to clean up the park and surrounding areas. With the help of the kids, Dr. Thompson created a pamphlet warning pet owners about the dangers of strange substances and how to recognize any signs of illness. The kids became local heroes, known for their bravery in the face of danger. They organized playdates for the pets at the park, ensuring the pets were healthy and happy. As they watched the animals frolicking, Mia turned to her friends, a smile on her face. "We did something really amazing, didn't we?" "Yeah, we did," Leo replied, "and we learned that together we can face anything." "Just like in our favorite adventure stories," Jake added, grinning. The friends laughed and cheered, knowing they had not only saved their pets, but had also strengthened their bond as best friends. As the sun set over Maplewood, casting a warm glow over the park, the kids felt a sense of peace and accomplishment. They knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The legacy of the zombie pets. Months passed, and the story of the zombie pets became a beloved tale in Maplewood. The kids often recounted their adventure, reminding others of the importance of teamwork, courage, and looking out for their furry friends. They also established a neighborhood pet watch group, ensuring that every pet was safe and healthy. The bond between them and their pets grew stronger, and the memory of the terrifying event served as a reminder of the love and responsibility they had for their companions. And sometimes, when the moon was full and the wind whispered through the trees, they could almost hear the soft growls of the pets, ever watchful, reminding them of their incredible adventure and the ultimate triumph of friendship. The end.